everybody, welcome back to Cottoverdi. My name's Annette and today I've got a couple of exciting things to do. The first thing is that I have a package from Beth Chatto, some plants that I've ordered, so I'm going to unpack those and take a look at them with you. And then I've just got a bit of tidying up that I'd like to do in the front garden, and if I have time I'm going to pot up some primroses to put on my table where I planted those small pots of snowdrops earlier in a previous video. Anyway, let's see what's inside this package. So this pot here, it's a 1 litre pot. This is a deciduous hardy perennial, which is why you can't see much. There are a couple of stems and there are a few little shoots here. So it is called Kingi, let me pronounce it correctly. It's called Kingi Sha palmata, which is a yellow wax bells is the common name, which aptly describes the flowers. But what this is, it is a deciduous hardy perennial, so it dies right back down to ground level. I'll put a picture up of the screen of what it looks like, but it's a clump forming herbaceous perennial. So it forms these mounds of greenery foliage up to about 1.2 meters tall by about 75 centimeters wide, I think. And then in July and August it has these gorgeous pale buttery yellow kind of trumpet shaped, shuttlecock shaped waxy flowers. They're quite thick and waxy apparently, and it makes the foliage sort of really hang heavy with how many flowers it's got. Now it is super hardy down to H7 in the UK, which basically means it's hardy to the harshest of our British climates, down to minus 20 degrees centigrade and below, so it will survive anything apparently. It likes sort of shady areas and humus rich soil, so leaf mould incorporated when you plant it would be really good. It likes to be, you know, the same sort of areas where you'd find ferns or hostas and things like that. And I plan to plant this near our wall in the front garden where I've already got lots of hostas and ferns. This one here, I had to kind of dig the leaf out. This one, and it doesn't have a label, which is not particularly helpful, but it's the only one that isn't labelled. So I know that it is an Angelica sylvestris Vickers Mead, which is this really tall, robust, biennial or perennial. So it's a short-lived perennial. It's just not going to survive many seasons, but it tends to reseed really easily. So apparently once you've got one in your garden, it will keep going because you'll keep getting seedlings. That's what I'm hoping for anyway, which is why I bought a plant. I tried to sow some seeds last year and I was unsuccessful, so I'm really hoping that this plant works out for me. Anyway, it's got these really purple stems. They grow up to about 1.2 meters, so about 4 foot, and then the flowers are either white or pinky, so I think it just depends what stage the flower's at, what the flowers are like. Now of course, you know, you can candy Angelica stems and eat them if you want to, but I just plan to have this in my border. It likes full sun, so I'm planning to plant this where I'm creating sort of a grass area that's not like the green grass, but like lots of sort of grasses with beautiful fronds and seed heads on them. So this is going to be intermingled in amongst my grasses, and I think it'd be a nice splash of pink purpley colour. And then the other 6 plants I've got 3 Veronica spicata. These are, so the smaller ones, these are 9 centimetre pots, are Erica, and then the larger ones I've got are Veronica spicata, and I don't know whether I'm going to say this right, it's probably German, Heidekind. I'll put the name up on the screen. So these are very similar, even though they've come in different size pots. It's just I bought what was available. I'd have bought them all as smaller plants if I could, but they just didn't have the cheaper options available. The other names for Veronica spicata are spiked speedwell or ironweed, and that's because they've got these tall spires of flowers. Now both of these Veronica spicatas that I've ordered only grow to about 30 centimetres tall, but 30 centimetres wide, so that's about 1 foot by 1 foot. So they're very low growing, sort of alpine-y, rock garden-y, front of the border plants, which is what I particularly wanted them for. So they form these sort of mounds of foliage, like it's described as mat forming. They don't like overtake or anything and spread too far, but they're different colours. Can you see that the foliage is different colours and the flowers are slightly different colours? So the Hyder kind is described as a raspberry pink. I think it's actually, it looks like it's a paler pink colour than the Erica, which is described as a sugar pink and looks in the photos to be much darker. Now both of these again are hardy perennials down to about -10 maximum, so I think that's an H5 here in the UK. So they'll survive most of our harsh winters, and obviously, you know, we could protect them a bit if we get colder than that. We can definitely protect them with, you know, leaf mulch or fleecing them or something like that if we think we're going to lose them, but I think mine are going to be okay, definitely in the area where I live. So both of these Veronicas, they're like free draining soil and full sun, and they're going to flower between July and August, and then once they've flowered, just simply cut the flower spikes down. They don't really need any other care apart from that. That's my unboxing for today. I would really like to get my yellow wax bells planted, so I'm going to see whether the ground is soft enough, which it should be, for me to go and plant that, and then I'm going to do some tidying up in the front garden. So this is the wall that I'm talking about where I'm going to plant my yellow wax bells. Let me show you. So this is pretty much a north facing wall. It is super tall. And at the bottom here, I've got some woodland anemones, but I've also got a couple of hostas, there's a rose, there's a fern at the back here, there's a brunnera over here, and, you know, some aquiledias, various other things. But I'm going to plant my yellow wax bells there in the hope that it's going to make a nice sort of mound and sort of trail over the edge as well, and it'll just sort of create a little bit of interest here at the edge. Ignore the cabling there, it's not connected, it's some electrics. We were going to have lights shining up the wall, but we haven't got round to it. Anyway, this is where I'm going to plant it, over here. This is a Clematis Tussico, which is a group 3 clematis, and now is the perfect time to cut it back before it starts flushing out. With a group 3 clematis, you can cut it right back. I tend to cut it to between 15 and 30 centimetres. I just sort of take a handful and chop it back, and that's all you have to do, and then it will just sprout again in spring. It may even be sending up shoots now, but I don't know, it's January, it might not. Anyway, let's have a go at this clematis. It's super easy. So literally all I do is I find the base. Actually, I can see some little shoots here, but you can see this is probably where I cut it to last year. So that's about 30 centimetres, and I'm just going to cut it all the way back, every single stem, and just clear away last year's debris. It's a very satisfying job, to be honest with you. The other thing that I'm going to do today is something I really don't want to do, and that is to clear up this mess here. This is a pulmonaria. with beautiful sort of blotchy leaves, but in the winter it just becomes this really soggy mess. It's also in completely the wrong place. It's in full sun pretty much all day. It only gets very late shade in the late afternoon, so I want to move it to a much shadier area where I think it's going to do better and look prettier, and I just don't want to have to look at this all winter. It's a sludgy mess. I have left this job till last because I know that it's going to be disgusting. So all I'm doing is gently tugging on the rotten leaves, and they're coming off really easily, and then when I can see where the plants are, I'll dig them up. So I seem to have 3 plants here, and I'm going to move all of them. This pulmonary is called Shrimps on the Barbie. Did I say that already? And it's got these beautiful sort of glowing pink and blue flowers. It really is very pretty. Oh, there's a little ladybird overwintering. Oh no, I don't want to disturb it now. Okay, so I'm feeling really guilty because I found a ladybird that was obviously overwintering underneath the leaves. I'm not going to dig those up today because I don't know what to do with the ladybird. I just want to leave it there. I've kind of covered him up with some leaves and I'm hoping that he's going to be all right. So I'm not going to move those today. Maybe I'll move them next month. That's just not happening. Let's go and pot up some primroses. So I've got 2 primroses that I've chosen to put in pots with the snowdrops on my table. The first one is called Mandarin and the second one is called Pink Ice. And I've also put some pink ice in one of the really large pots on the patio, so it'll sort of link the 2 displays hopefully. There's nothing special about potting up the primroses, so I'm just going to get on and do it. I've chosen some single pots and one larger pot that I'm going to put 3 in. So I'm not even putting crocks in the bottom of these pots. And I've actually been growing these on in my cold frames. They came in the autumn as tiny little plug plants, and I've been growing them on for just this purpose, so that I could have a nice spring display. And then afterwards, when they finish flowering this year, I then tend to plant them underneath my trees. And so over the years, I just kind of am building up a collection of pretty primroses under all my trees. So they haven't got huge root systems, but we can see, you know, roots on the plants there. I'm just taking a bit of the old compost out so that they all have a bit of fresh compost in the pots, so that they've got extra nutrients. And then in the big pot I do put a crock, but I put 1 crock to the side of the hole, and then I put another crock balanced on it so that water can still drain out. And then what I always do with my pots, because I think it looks really pretty, is I sprinkle grit on top. So another option would be to put moss, and I think moss also looks really pretty with primroses. That's it for today on this soggy grey day here in Buckinghamshire. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it interesting and fun to watch. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you all next time.